I'm here with Leslie Rogalski, and today Leslie is going to show us a really unique way to connect rings using seed beads.
That's right. Most people know that I love seed bead rings, and now I found a way to use them to connect other components.
Great.
So I brought a necklace to show you. I'm going to show you two techniques today to do that. The first one uses seed beads with a focal element in between to connect other rings, and the second method is a bail that will be embellished.
And that's really pretty too.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So let me show you how to do the one with a focal element.
Okay.
I have strung here size 11 seed beads, a crystal, a pearl, and a crystal for the middle focal part, and then another even same amount of seed beads on the other side. It's linked through a ring, and my needle comes back through the focal element, which is going to create a ring of seed beads. I'm going to pull a little tail out. There you go. So you can see one part's already connected.
Oh, that's really easy.
Now, to hide the thread, I'm going to bring this back, and I'm going to tie it to my working thread in a half hitch under the crystal, because then the size of the crystal will help to hide the knot.
All right.
So that's a trick that when you're beading, you want to try to be as discreet as possible in hiding your connections, and that's going to bring this right back up, and that's it. And then of course you would finish your knot and weave your thread back into the beadwork, and there's your connection.
But you can see it made a figure 8 through the ring here.
That's exactly what it does.
Great. And you're using beading thread.
I'm using thermally bonded beading thread, and the trick to the size has to do with the size of the holes in your bead, and the same with the size of your needle. And you can use any kind of rings. Here you can make other beaded rings even.
And these are delicas that you're using?
These are delicas. These, I happen to use bicones. These are 4mm, 6mm pearl, and 4mm bicone.
Well, the crystals and the seed beads, of course, look really beautiful together.
Always. And I have the gold with the silver, so don't let anybody tell you you can't mix and match those.
Of course.
All right. The next part starts with a ladder of size 8 delicas.
Okay.
And I'm going to do the first stitch for you. You start with 2, and you're going to go back through both of those beads.
And you're using the same beading thread here.
The same beading thread, and I have a bead stopper on just so I don't lose anything. Now watch what happens with these beads. You want to make sure that they sit side by side so the holes are parallel.
Okay.
All right. Now let me show you how, on a diagram, let me show you how to finish a ladder stitch. So what I just did was I came up around and down. Now I would pick up a third bead and go back through the second bead and come up through the third bead, and you would continue. This is called a ladder. This is a base for a lot of stitches, so I'm just going to do that really fast.
Really that ladder shape, back and forth.
That ladder shape, back and forth. Okay, so you have your ladder. Of course, the beads are going to actually be closer together when you do it. Now to embellish, I'm going to start over here. If your thread is coming out, I have round crystals and size 15 delicas, or size 11.
Okay.
To embellish, it's a little picot. You're going to be coming out of one of these beads through the crystal, and you're going to go through that little delicate, and that's so that your thread doesn't pull back through the crystal.
It creates your stopper there.
And
this is one of my favorite techniques for all kinds of beads. You could do this with larger ones
along
too.
the edge of anything, and that's why you keep the holes facing out parallel. Now you're going to come back through that bead, the cylinder bead, and you're going to come out through the crystal and down, pick up that little seed bead, and come back through. Now here's just the little tricky part. You're going to go back down through the next ladder stitch bead before you start to pick up your next embellishment. And you're going to come through the crystal and around through the seed bead and up through the delica, through the crystal, around through the seed bead, and back down, and now you're going to come back up here.
And this is a really important point here, because to stay on the same side, because that makes them lay really nicely.
It does. It keeps them from twisting around, and you do want to make sure that your tension is snug so that that picot doesn't.
Well, let's see you do it on the beads there.
Okay. Here's what the ladder looks like when the beads are all snug together. I have a crystal and a seed bead strung, and I'm going to pick this up. Remember I said you'd go back just through the crystal and down in through that delica. And there's your first little picot. Now you're going to pick up another crystal. I'm going to pick this up and put it on.
And you're using a hard beading needle.
I'm using a hard beading needle and thermally bonded thread again. And the size of the needle again depends on the size of the bead. Pick up a seed bead, and remember I said you go back through the crystal and through the size 8. Don't go through the crystal and the picot again, because you have to go back down through the next ladder stitch before you pick up your next embellishment.
So you'll be working on the same side.
So you'll be working on the same side. Now you would pick up a crystal and go through like I showed you on the drawing and go back and forth. And remember that when you transfer to the next picot, you don't want to go through that crystal. You want to skip to do it.
Let's take a look at the finished one. So to finish up that bail, you're just zipping the ends together then?
That's all you do, like a ring, and you go around just like you're working in the same ladder stitch, only you're connecting it a ring around whatever it is that you want to have a bail on.
And that's the piece that you used with the pearls there that we're looking on the necklace.
That's right there. I added pearls, but I did the same thing with the seed bead before I came back through, the same method. And of course you can make it different sizes if you want to.
All right, well thank you so much, Leslie.
You're welcome.